Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Live Magic Q&A Tea Party with me, your host, Madame Pamita. We meet every week on Sundays, except for the first Sunday of the month when I have my first Sunday workshops. But every other Sunday of the month, we meet here live on Zoom and have a great time answering your questions about magic, law of attraction, spirituality, divination, all things mystical and magical. They're all on the table, and we have a great time getting together with you. It's free, it doesn't cost anything. And if you'd like to join us, all you have to do is go over to spellsquad.com, sign up, and you can join us. I forgot to tell you what time it takes place. It's every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Sunday except for the first Sunday. And the first Sunday, I have a paid workshop, which I'm going to be talking about in a bit. Anyway, we're going to let's see what I've got going on before I get started. I've got a couple of announcements to make. In case you just stumbled upon this and you don't know who I am, I'm Madame Pamita, and you can find me at parlorofwonders.com. I also have a very active Instagram, which is Madame Pamita, and a very active YouTube, which is Madame Pamita as well. I have a blog on my website, Parlor of Wonders. I have tons of resources for learning about magic, free resources for learning about magic, all kinds of good stuff over there. So you'll definitely want to hang out and go over to parlorofwonders.com and check those things out. If you sign up at spellsquad.com, you also not only get the ticket to come into the clubhouse here and join us, but you also get a free copy of my ebook, 7 Secrets to Supercharge Your Spell Work. And that is a free 33-page book, illustrated, beautiful, really encouraging you on your magic. What do I do if a spell goes wrong? How do I use an oil? How do I use incense in magic? It's got all of those things in there. And it's a lovely, quick read. It maybe takes, 45 minutes, 30 minutes to read, but you'll get tons of information in it. And it will be a great resource for you. And I give it away for free if you sign up at spellsquad.com. So I hope you go over there if you haven't yet and done that. Got a couple of announcements of things coming up. The April new moon spell April Aries new moon. I knew there was a word missing in there. April Aries new moon clear victory spell is the new moon for Aries. We're going to be doing a spell around victory, success, feeling successful, feeling empowered, feeling good about yourself, and also being successful on the world in competitive situations, or making the competition, go away so that you're on top. So we're going to be doing that spell for April, and that spell kit, the spell kit and workshop, and the spell service open up tomorrow, Monday, the 22nd at 12 noon Pacific time, 1 p.m. Mountain, 2 p.m. Central, and 3 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to get in on that, you have 1 week for the spell kit and the spell kit and workshop. And we only have 13 spaces in the spell service. So you will want to get on that tomorrow. And that is set your alarms. Or if you want me to give you a text reminder when it goes live, I'll send out a text. If you text me at 310-510-6184. That's my text number. You can reach me there with questions or anything that comes up. If you have a problem with the website, we just moved our website over. I've been fielding all the the technical things and trying to fix them. So if you need to reach me, that's always a great place to reach me. We've got a couple workshops coming up on April 4th. April 4th, yes, I'm going to be teaching magical natural incense spells. That is going to be a great class. That's going to be my first Sunday coming up on April 4th. And before that, I've got March 31st. I'll be teaching the old magic of Ukrainian eggs. So half Ukrainian. Ukrainian magic is my passion. I've been really delving into it this past year. And I'll be teaching about the old magic of Ukrainian eggs, which is going to be great. That one's going to be through Catland Books. So for that one, you got to go to catlandbooks.com. For my workshop, which is the natural magical incense workshop, that's going to be through me. And you can find that by going to witchcraftworkshops.com. Boy, my brain is not functioning today. For the new moon spell service and the new moon spell kits, you can go to newmoonspells.com. So those are all the URLs. Now, I got all my stuff out of the way. I can now focus and let someone else talk for a minute. So this is going to be, my guest today is a dear friend of mine in the magical community who I love and respect and have known for many, many years. And we I think Anna, we've had a past life together because we just, before we even met, we just loved each other. And we came together and just had such a beautiful convergence of like, I love you. I love you too. Anna is just an amazing, beautiful soul who does amazing work in divination in her own oracle, which is the playing card oracles. And I will tell you, I didn't even read her bio. Let me do that. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't officially read her bio. Let me get to that. Ah, what did I do with it? Hold on. So the official bio is this. Anna Cortez is the author of The Playing Card Oracles, a source book for divination and Oracle alchemy, not oral alchemy, oracle alchemy. Boy, it's a good thing I didn't have a drink today. I would be missing this. Daughter of oracle creator and illustrator CJ Freeman. She's a self-described misfit. That's why we get along. Misfit, truth seeker, rule breaker, and freak for the supernatural. Welcome, Anna. I'm so glad to have you here.
Oh, it's just such a fun pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. What a thrill.
Oh my gosh, it's so great to have you here. I mean, she is doing so many cool things. Not only is she a creator and a maker and a writer, but she also teaches classes and she has this beautiful system. My deck, I left it at the shop. It's at my work at my shop and not at home. I was like looking around, I'm like, oh crap, it's at the shop. I use it at the shop. And so I have one very
It's
precious
okay, I
deck.
have it. I've got it. I've got us both covered.
Okay, good. So you can show it off.
Yeah.
But you have created the story of how you created this amazing playing card oracle, but it's more than that. Like, playing card divination is a very, very old divination, even older than tarot. I think that is something that goes back. The tarot as a game had existed, but really it wasn't until the 1700s. But there's a much wider and older version of doing divination with cards, with playing cards. But your deck isn't just using playing cards. You and your dad came together. Your dad, as this really inspired artist, created images on the playing cards so that it, to me, it almost feels like, and maybe tell me if I'm right or wrong. You know how in Alice in Wonderland, the flowers come to life?
Yeah.
It's like your dad had each playing card have a personality and a life to it.
Yes.
Is that accurate? Do you think that's accurate?
Very much. Very much. My dad lived in another world, from the get-go. And he never fit in, much like I kind of think of myself. And he decided, just as like without like a previous context, to illustrate playing cards. He decided to paint them on these enormous canvases as just like a self-assigned project. And what came out on the canvas surprised him. He had no idea. He thought it was just an art project because he'd always felt drawn to playing cards. And so then he was like, wow, something is going on here. Like there is something with playing cards. And that's when he started to research playing card history to see what the mystery was, you know, that he was getting through these images that were unlike anything that he was expecting or that had been created in any other decks. And this was back in Pamita, this was back in like 78, like 79, 80. And people weren't reading with playing cards back then. That would have been very, very unusual. It was in the US, it was very much tarot. And even then, it was a small community.
Yeah, very small community.
Right. So this was surprising to him, you know.
It was such, I mean, I really do feel that those images on the cards are channeled in such a like otherworldly way, this
Yes.
beautiful channeled art that is, I think like anybody who creates has that experience at least once, or you have
Right.
a flow where you make something and you're like, oh my God, that's incredible. Did I make that? That's amazing. And you have a conversation where you look at something and you're almost looking at it like you didn't do it, but you did do it.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
sounds like what happened with your dad is that channeled experience where he was creating something and then he was like, What does this mean?"
He didn't even have an art background. He had no schooling in art, no classes in art. And he was very, very left handed, where he held his instruments very awkwardly. Like, I don't even know how he held it. And and a lot of times would paint with his fingers, and he would just let his hands move. He was that kind of, like, just really unusual person that would even work like that, and very mystical. I mean, he was very in touch with the astral world. He was, very much into experimentation with his astral body, and he used to set up experiments in his bedroom. Then he would go into the astral and go do things in his bed and then come back out and take notes. I mean, he was that kind of skilled at traversing dimensions.
Oh
So these
gosh.
cards are special.
They're
There's
so special. They're
yeah,
so amazing. And
yeah,
I just really feel like, I mean, I grew up with a tarot deck and, I got my first deck when I was 10 years old and I grew up with those cards. And for me, I spent a lot of time as a young girl. I wasn't doing readings at 10 years old. I wasn't like a
right.
prodigy. So I got very excited that here was a fortune telling deck. And then when I got home and I looked at the little white book, I was like, oh, I don't even understand. I still don't understand the little white book. I think that our Alfred E. Waite was just like way out there. Who knows what he was? But I look at that little white book and I was like, oh, but what I did do is I played with those cards like paper
Yes,
dolls. I had them have conversations with one
exactly.
another. I would look at them. I would play with them. I would tell stories about them. And I think that so much the playing card oracles are like that they
Yeah,
have these stories and these personalities that when you understand those personalities of the cards through the deck, which I think the images that your dad painted are so integral. I suppose you could memorize them and then use any deck, but looking at those
right.
beautiful images and seeing the personalities will send you to that other dimension where
Yes.
you can get the gather the information and then transmit it to yourself or another person or whatever. So it's a very, very beautiful system. And you have a school that people can learn this system, right?
Yeah. Yes, I have a free online school. Was paid for a long time, and then I always get pushed by this thought that I just want this out there. I just want as many people as possible exposed to what can be done with the 52 cards, because
So
they are a mystical instrument. And that has been my mission in this divination community, has been just to reveal their original intent and to recognize that we have a book of knowledge that is the playing cards that has so much we can benefit from in the divination community. So, as much as I can in my work, I like to just blow the lid off, open it up, make it as accessible to people as possible.
I should tell everybody that your website is Anna Cortez,
Mhm.
ANACortez.com, AnnaCortez.com.
One
And
N, one
one
N is
N,
the biggest mistake people make. Just one.
Anna, you're Anna.
Um,
And that they can go over there and they can go to the divination school. But you also have another cool thing that's going on, which is your new moon work. What are you doing with the new moon? Because I'm all about the new moon, but what are you doing with the new moon?
So we're having a new moon gathering now every month, every new moon, and it's live like this. And we're just inviting people to come. And, we're still playing with the format of it. But essentially, what we're doing is drawing 4 cards, which represent the 4 weeks of the coming lunar cycle. And so it's very interactive. We're building a community of people that work in rhythm with this powerful planetary cycle and in rhythm with the way that the playing card oracles were designed to work. So they come together within our group, and I'm doing it with my daughter. who's the
Ah,
next priestess on the rise. So
I love
such a
that.
it's and she's so into it and she's so good. She just has a knack, you know. I'm much more
Well,
intellectual and it took me a long time to kind of get off the ground with everything. But she's more like her grandfather, like my father. She just trusts her intuitive self and she's waking up the whole oracle thing's waking up in her mind. I thought I was going to have two children that weren't going to pass on my legacy for a long time. I'm like, could it be my first child or my second child? Which one's going to carry this on for me? And I thought, well, maybe neither one, you know. But now my daughter's really, she's waking up. It's coming alive in her brain.
that's so good. That is so good. The new moon, is just like, how we have like a new year and we go, okay, my new year, new me, I'm going to start fresh.
Yes.
I mean, every day at dawn is a new beginning,
Yeah,
right? But every new moon is the beginning of that. It's like a New Year's Day for the lunar cycle. So what a
exactly.
beautiful thing to be setting that, like, oh, I've seen my month ahead. What am I going to work on? How am I going to integrate this with
Exactly.
my
And it's
spiritual
the
work?
perfect chunk of time, you know, that you can sort of regulate and set an intention for and pull cards for and then check in very easily and see, okay, how did my prediction come out? You know, how did that cycle go and how did the full moon feel and how, it's just like the perfect container for exploring self knowledge and divination, as they work together.
I love that idea that it's like, if you think about like I'm going to do a thing for a year, like your new year resolution, right? I'm
Right.
going to do this thing for a year. It's almost how many people actually do? I mean, really, like let's get truthful about
It's
it, real
an
about it.
attention span question, right? Like, oh, it's February. What was that resolution?
Like I gave long ago gave up resolutions and started doing intentions for the year because an intention you can set it and forget it. Like a resolution doesn't work for me. But if you look at like your new moon as your beginning of that cycle where you can do
Mhm.
or commit to something for 30 days. That's what I
Yeah.
always tell. Just commit to it for 30 days and then see how you feel at the end of 30 days and then you can recommit. That
Yeah.
new moon is like the perfect beginning point because you have the
Yes.
waxing moon at the end. Now, if you're trying to I suppose you could start that month on the full moon if you're trying to get rid of something. But if you're trying to expand something or do something, that new moon is such a beautiful time to do that expansion work. And
Yeah.
so I just love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And you've been working on an audiobook too. What's that? What's that all about?
Now, suddenly, I don't think that's been announced at all. So,
Oops.
um, no, it's good. I'm glad you brought it up.
It's
So,
exclusive. We get an exclusive, everyone.
yeah, that's right. So this is the book you mentioned in my little bio, Oracle Alchemy, The Art of Transformation in Life and Card Reading. And I'm really proud of this book. This is not I wouldn't say my main book because it's not the how to on all the card reading stuff, but it is a how to on transformational work with card reading and how to turn your card reading practice into a truly transformational practice that explores quantum sort of ideas and taking our spirituality to the next level and then using our card reading practice to as a template for transformation in our life. So it's a fun book and I don't know how long the audible book is going to be. Not that long, maybe 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 2.5. And so that's going to be ready really soon.
You know what? I have to say, my little personal thing that I love about this is that you're reading it. You're reading it, right?
Yeah.
I love it when
No one
authors read
else
their own
is
book.
no, nobody else could do. I wouldn't allow anyone else to do the audible.
Good for
Not even
you.
you, Pamita.
Good
I
for you.
had to
No,
do
I
it.
think there's something energetic. Unless someone really has a problem with reading, I love hearing the author read their own book because it feels to me there's an energy behind it. I hear very professional voiceover people reading books, but it's a little, it lacks something because they don't care. They just got hired, they're doing it, I guess.
Well,
I don't
this
know.
book to me came out of my soul, and it's ideas that I uh, feel so close to. I couldn't imagine anyone else reading
Yeah.
it.
They wouldn't get it. No, a fiction book, I love a fiction book and they do all the voices and all those kinds of
Sure.
things. But
Yeah,
a nonfiction book, I want to hear that information coming from the mouth of the person. And I do enjoy an audiobook coming
yeah,
from the mouth of the person.
yeah.
Anyway, before we get started, we're going to do a little reading at the end today.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do what I do with every guest and ask you, what is your favorite emoji?
The heart, of course.
Oh, I
The
love
heart.
that. Okay, everyone. So put a heart emoji, or you can put the little and a three, the little less than sign, greater than, I don't know, math. Or you can write the word heart out. They all count as an entry. Think of a question, a topic that you'd like to ask a question about if you do get chosen, so that you're ready and prepared when we pick you. Put that in the chat, and you'll be in the running for a contest at the end. We'll pick one person, and they'll get a little mini reading with the playing card oracles by Anna, and
Mhm.
you'll have that little beautiful thing. But think of a question before. So think of a topic, like what's important to you right now. It could be
Topic.
like money or career or health or
Right.
relationship or something, just a topic. And then we'll do a little mini reading for you at the end. You're also going to be giving a little special at the end, right? As you're going to give a special to everyone. I love that. I love that. All right. So let's see. So we'll get to some questions. I think that's everything. Let's get to some questions and
Great.
see what people want to know about. And we will get into it and see what we have. Everyone's saying hello. Oh my gosh, people from all over. It's so great. Um, okay, let's see. Let's see. Um,
Oh, so cute, all the hearts.
I know, I know. All right, let's see. Going through all the hellos. All right, hearts, heart, heart. So you guys have questions about um here's a great question. Beverly has a question for the collective. And this is a kind of a broad question, but it's a good one. Beverly says, for the collective, what do we need to know to stay on the highest path? What do we need to know to stay on the highest path?
Hmm. That's a great question. For myself, I need to make sure that I'm meditating every day. That is how I check in sort of mentally and say, okay, am I on my path? And it's hard to tell sometimes. I mean, it's more of a feeling for me. Like I can feel like I'm on or off. And I definitely see number messages. I definitely get messages, through different things. But if I'm meditating every day and, having a pretty good meditation, at least, once a day or almost every day, I feel like, I'm on track. That's my personal thing.
That's a great piece of advice. Really, really beautiful piece of advice. I feel like for me that if I feel like, I mean, I could add anything to that, I would say if I'm feeling like I'm low vibe, or I'm feeling off, that feeling
Right.
of feeling off,
Sure.
you're like nothing, either everything feels like blah, or you're feeling super angry or anxious or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
What always I always call this recalibrating my compass, to get my
Mm,
compass back to pointing toward that high vibe. A gratitude practice,
love
any gratitude practice,
it.
whether it's counting your blessings, writing in a gratitude journal, thinking about focusing on what you're grateful for right in this minute. If I
Yes.
start to do that and really start to get that engine going,
Mhm.
it puts my compass right back on
I
track
love that.
again. And then I feel like everything else moves and follows, and things open up and synchronicities open up and all of
Yeah.
those beautiful things
That's
when you
that's
start doing
great. That's great. I definitely have been in training for lots of years, just trying to make that more and more and more of a mental habit, throughout the day.
that. Yeah.
And
It is a
time.
habit too.
It takes
Yeah.
time. It's challenging.
I think one thing that really helps, and I'm not the best at it, but one thing that really helps is being mindful and present. And if we have constant distractions, looking at our phone and things like that, it's not, you're yeah, you can be mindful, I guess, at your phone. That's not to say you couldn't, but it's being really present in where you are, and that meditation helps with that. Part of meditation is really bringing yourself back to you, feeling where you are. And every guided meditation, they bring you back to your body.
Yes, yes.
Your consciousness can be way out there, and we need to bring it back in here. So
Yeah,
yeah, for
really good,
sure.
meditation. I lead a meditation on my website. If you search the website for meditation, there's an audio where it is all about going really deep into your presence and the body and all of that, which I was really happy with that audio. So I would recommend it if people want to try it out.
So good, so good. I love that. Mary has a question. And I'm curious as to what you're going to say about this. Mary says, "Do playing cards have a major arcana? Do they have major arcana cards?"
No, they don't have major arcana. It's just the 52, but we use the what we call pip cards, the cards ace through 10 in most popular modern decks, but in the playing card oracles, the court is cards 10 through 13, or the lady cards through the king. And those two groups sort of function in ways that make a complete whole. Just like the 52 cards themselves represent the 52 weeks of the year, it's a complete universe. Four suits are the four seasons. I mean, it is not wanting.
Yeah. One of the things that I found very interesting is most, most books and most books about tarot will divide it up into major arcana and minor arcana. When
Right.
I did my book, I did the majors, but I did court cards as their own separate entity,
Nice.
and then the pip cards, because I really do feel like there's three different parts that have three different, you can look at them collectively and they really have different feeling to them. And I know that, in that you have those cards that are the real people cards, that you have
Right.
in the playing card oracle, that have a different feeling than the rest of the cards.
Well, and I think a lot of people take my book and use that and apply it to their minor arcana cards and their tarot readings. I've had innumerable comments about people who have used it to enrich their tarot practice.
Yeah, for sure. For
Mm.
sure. I think that I mean, that will add such a big dimension to either one. I mean, you can definitely add it. And I love that concept. When you get to a certain point, I think when someone's a very, very beginner, it's good to focus on one. Like if they're focusing on the playing card oracles, focus on that, because you'll get too overwhelmed if you try and start
Right.
translating. But you get to a certain point where maybe even you get a knowledge of the card, but you want to expand that knowledge. Read other people's books, read what other people have to say. This is a great example of getting other information and then applying it and giving your understanding of that card deeper dimension. You can really
Yeah,
go more and more places when that card shows up in a reading for you, for sure.
absolutely. You can take your minor arcana and make them a significant part of what's going on the table.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the idea that there's major and minor is like there's high level ones and then there's mundane ones. If that's not true,
Yeah,
that's not
no.
true at all. And I
Yeah,
think of them as like the pips, the court, and then the major. The majors are their own thing, and they definitely have a different vibe. It's a different vibe than the rest of the deck.
yeah,
So it's definitely that they need to be separated. But I really think that they also need to be separated into those court cards and then the pips for
yes,
sure. It's a
yeah,
different thing. And
yeah.
then you get into the whole numerology thing, which is amazing, that you have with the pips, which is such a rich dimension to look at.
There's so much. I can't imagine adding pips to the playing card, or sorry, trumps, major arcana to the playing card oracles, because there's enough in
Yeah.
the playing
Yeah.
card. It's a
Yeah.
whole world.
Yeah. Exactly.
A
Exactly.
whole world.
Um, uh, Okay, Lady Raven has a question for you. I've always done tarot cards, and for some reason, I've never used or even considered getting oracle cards. And I think I have to say something, and then she's going to ask the question, what's the difference between the two of them? But before we even get started with that, I want to say that the playing card oracles is not a typical oracle deck.
Right.
A typical oracle deck, let's see if I have one. Like, this isn't really a great example, but a typical oracle deck is like this. This is what we had since the 80s. Before, I
Right.
don't know what there was anything before that, but it's like you pick a card and it's got a statement, a beautiful picture, it's got a word or a statement, and then it gives you the definition. Many of them do, which to me is great for someone who has no knowledge and it's just a beginner and they're just
Yeah.
starting. They can,
Yeah.
have instant gratification, and
Right.
there's beautiful decks like that. I love oracle decks. Believe me, I have
Yeah.
bazillions of them. But your deck isn't like a typical oracle deck in that sense.
No, not at all. And when we named this system, the playing card oracles, because for 20 years it had no name, it was just the cards, the cards. And when we were publishing the book to document everything that had been revealed, we had to come up with a name all of a sudden. And this was back in 2000. So we came up with the name the playing card oracles, and we thought that was so original, so unique, like the word oracles in the title, because 20 years ago, all these oracle decks weren't, and the word oracle is so used now and so much a part of the language of the divination community. But back then, it meant to speak, and that's what it means. So it just meant the playing cards speak, and we felt like we were finally giving them a voice that they wanted to speak for centuries. And people look at them as a gaming deck, and
You want
people,
to show some of the do you want to show some of the images so people can understand what we're talking
yeah,
about? We
which
both know what we're talking about.
Which deck? I'll do the first deck that came through. This is the painted one, and this is being published by Schiffer Books in the fall this year. So this was this is just like the five of spades, you know?
Beautiful.
I mean, they're rich. Eight of diamonds, the guardian. These aren't even court cards. I mean, this is just on the pips.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a real correspondence. I mean, it's a really, you get a dimension of the image, you get the number and the numerology, you get the
Oh,
suit.
absolutely.
There's so much richness there. So I think, Lady Raven, if you have that understanding of tarot, you can take to this like a duck to water, because you already have a foundational knowledge of being able to kind of, but it's a completely different system, but you have the understanding of how tarot works. If you understand how tarot works, you can jump right into this. If you have no knowledge about card reading, you can still get into it and learn it and understand it and use it. And it's such a beautiful, amazing, magical, cool, unique system. It's not an oracle card like we think of oracle cards now. That's what I wanted
No,
to see.
and they're all, each one relates to a playing card, and there's a comprehensive system. Like you mentioned, Pamita, the numerology, but also the four elements are very deeply ingrained in the way that these cards work, and the calendar, the natural calendar that comes through the numerological correspondences, and there's other things tied in as well, geomancy and other things. So it's a universe, but it's very comprehensive, and it's all organic to the structure of the playing cards, the black and the red, the dichotomy, the black, red, and white. There's so much mystical symbolism in these cards that it doesn't register, because we've seen them since we were babies, and we've seen them for card games, and to see them with new eyes is the challenge.
Yeah.
To
It's like
awaken-
opening a door. It's
yeah,
opening a door to a whole new world. So if you want to open a door to a whole new world of understanding. And I think, Anna, your whole thing goes much, much deeper. That's what your second book really talks about. It's like, this isn't just about doing divination, just about fortune telling or doing that. I love fortune telling, believe me. I love, I'm not putting that as a disparaging word, but it's so much deeper in the understanding that can come from it. I almost think of it as being a little bit like I'm going to mangle his name, Alejandro Jodorowsky,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
he really got into tarot as so much more than just divination, but like
100%.
really like a spiritual system.
Mm,
And I think that you're doing something very akin to that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. All right, let's see what else. Okay. Um, oh, here's a great question. Antasha asked the question. I tuned in late, so my apologies if you mentioned, we didn't mention it. Does your deck read more like Lenormand due to the playing card connection? I've never even asked you that before or talked to you about that before. How do you relate to Lenormand and your deck?
Well, I'm going to say yes, it would relate more closely, although this is a very uniquely channeled system and it doesn't have any comparable system. It wasn't derived from any other system. It was like the cards came through, these beings came through the cards, and they taught us how they wanted to be read. And again, it's very much based on deep archetypal, mystical symbology, occult symbology, but occult's not a good word because we don't need to surround it with smoke and mirrors like that. It's the elements, it's the numbers, it's the natural calendar, and it's all these mystic traditions that feed into that together and that are related through that. So the playing card oracles um, pulls like I mentioned into geomancy and other traditions just because they're all related through those deep mystical traditions.
I think I almost kind of get, and then you can tell me if I'm wrong. I know a little, I know enough about Lenormand. I'm not a Lenormand reader, but I know enough about it to kind of have gotten my feet wet in it for sure.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't do a reading for professionally for, I'm not that good, but I know enough about it to get around. I don't get the sense that the playing cards and the images have much connection.
Hmm.
I don't get the sense that like the rider on the horse being the 7 of diamonds or whatever it is. That's probably totally wrong, guys. If it is right, it would be crazy because I don't have it memorized them. But if the rider on the horse is, let's say, the 7 of diamonds, I don't know, I don't think that has a specific correspondence like that means something. Maybe it does. I don't know. Or maybe it's a traditional meaning of the 7 of diamonds through
Well,
other fortune telling techniques. I don't know enough about the history of Lenormand to speak to it, but I don't get the sense that, people look at those the Lenormand and they just look at the images and they're not really thinking about the numbers or the suits or things like that. I don't think they're thinking about the suits at all, in fact, with
well, I
Lenormand, which is
think
a little
it'd
bit
be
different.
almost impossible for me to read cards in that way without the deep connection between the images and the elements, the images and the numbers, because it creates this dance between everything. Everything has this intrinsic relationship to each other, and then the images just become frosting
Yeah,
on the cake,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And
I
just
would
like
be
in
so
nature.
I would be so curious now that that has come up about you doing layouts, like doing a major arcana, I mean, sorry, a Celtic cross layout, or doing a Lenormand Grand Tableau layout with the playing card oracles and seeing if it worked. I mean, it's a
Sure.
great, ripe for exploration, you guys.
Yeah, 100%. Why not? And the new book that's coming out with Schiffer is going to be so much fun because there's new layouts, new ways to use the card that relate specifically only to playing cards
Oh, so
because it's
good.
all based on this magical numerology and the planetary cycles and astrology and all these things that just feed off of the cards like so naturally.
That's so
And
good.
it it has to have the playing card structure. Has to,
Yeah.
you know.
That, you know what, that's a good incentive for everyone to get over to your site and
Yes.
to get to learn learn the playing card oracle system. And they can with that school that you have, the school that you have, and the book that you have.
Here, let me
Um, yeah.
get this book. This is the foundation, you guys. This was the first book that came through, and the little card deck that is published by US Games. And so these two go together, and this is your foundation in this system. And because when the new book comes out, you're going to want that foundation under your belt as much as you can, because we're going to the moon
And beyond,
and
right?
beyond.
Beyond the moon. All right. So let's see. All right. So okay, here's a question about manifestation. I know you're good for this question. Vivian asks, "Hi, Pamita and Anna. Getting such good vibes from you both, of course.
Oh,
I
thanks.
pick good people. I pick good people in my life. I'm wondering what you each believe is possible. Is it possible to manifest anything you want, or some things just not possible? I don't mean like, can I grow wings to fly, but things that exist in the world. What do you
That
think?"
is a great question. I think with time, most things are possible. I think for myself, the biggest pitfall in that would be giving up too soon. Other than that, I think over time as well for myself, my goals, if something doesn't manifest right away, I might have time to sort of hone my goals and say, well, maybe I didn't actually want exactly what I thought I wanted. Maybe I'm learning more about myself through these twists and turns of life. And I might actually want something a little different, given a little time. And so I don't think there's anything you can't manifest. I think if it's in alignment with your true spirit, you can manifest it. And if it's not manifesting for you, either you haven't given it enough time or you maybe are being asked to, reformulate.
It's very, that whole process of manifestation is so a never ending fascination for me. And I had just this week an amazing manifestation happen to me, like mind blowing, mind blowing. All right. Can I share it with you
Yes,
guys?
no,
Oh
please.
my gosh, it's pretty cool. All right. 4 years ago, if you guys have been with me for 4 years, go back to whatever I was writing on Instagram. I think it was on Instagram, or I don't think I did it on Facebook. I don't do much on Facebook. It must have been on Instagram. I had this fantasy, and it really wasn't intention. It wasn't like just like, oh, I want to go to Disneyland. It was like a real, I wanted to create something. I was looking at these beautiful houses, like old, really cool fairy houses or things that looked very fantastical. And I said, looking at these beautiful houses, I go, gosh, wouldn't it be cool to have this house that's like, it looks like a fairy house, and have a magical school where people could come and they
Mm,
could take workshops or have a retreat
mhm,
there. And I go, I could run it like a B&B, and I could have people come in for a week and we'd have magic and have fun, go to magic school
mhm,
together. That would be the best. That would be the best. And
mm,
I put pictures of it and I put it out there, and I put it out there like as an intention, right? And then I got, everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's amazing. That sounds so cool." And then I just didn't do anything else about it. I didn't think about it. I didn't do anything about it. I didn't worry about it. I didn't even think about it anymore. Right. Well, this week I had a client come in who, in our course of our session together, she was like, "I want to do a B&B that's magical, and I want you to come to be at this B&B." And I'm like, girl, not only am I going to come, I'm going to bring a whole crowd with me of paying customers that will come and we're going to teach magic there. And she and I just like, was like, oh my gosh, it's the most amazing thing ever. So this is what I'm talking about, manifestation. You can put it out there and like set it and forget it. Move on to something else, because the worst thing you can do for manifestation is go, I want that thing. Why haven't I got it? I want that thing. Why isn't it here yet? I want that thing. Oh, it's never going to happen. So that one step forward, one step backward is what slows down manifestation. When you set it and then you just don't worry about it, you set it and you keep the positive energy going, or you set it and forget it.
Yeah.
The universe can then conspire to bring it to you in just the perfect way. Now, mind you, I have no desire to run a B&B. I have no desire to run a thing like that, like a host a B&B. That is not my idea of fun. My idea of fun was having the space and having the place to teach people and
Yes.
do what I love and my passion, which is teaching. So
Yeah.
having this person say, this is my passion, is to create this B&B.
So the universe honed it for you.
Exactly. I wanted to have, because the universe knew what my intention was, I wanted to have the school.
Yeah.
I wanted to have the gathering place. I wanted to have all these beautiful souls in there and for us to be able to make magic together and do all these magical things. I don't want to do the part of the B&B part. That doesn't sound fun to me. But they knew that that's what I meant when I said, I want to have this place. So now it's going to happen. Now it's going to happen. Like, and now, okay, great. Now that part is done. So that's how you really manifest effectively, is you just get out of your own way. This is why spell work is so powerful. You set the intention of the spell, whatever you imprint on that spell is going to go off. So even if you put this candle and you're like, oh, is it ever going to happen? The candle will keep the energy going. Now, I encourage you not to go into that negative thinking place, not to go in, oh, I'm never going to write that book. I'm never going to do that vacation. I'm never going to do that thing.
That's an intention too, and it can cancel out your
Yeah.
intention.
Yeah, because you're like sucking the energy from that intention that you put out there. So my advice, Vivian, is to do the intention. Now, I think there are some limitations. Like I always use the example, I can't be a child actor. Like if my dream is I can be an actor, but I can't be a child actor. So there are some physical limitations in terms of what is possible in the material. Like I can't regress to being a child again. That's not how this time space continuum works. But I can, and maybe at some point, maybe that's what Jesus knew how to do as that master magician. I mean, he could raise people from the dead. If you get that good, you can maybe make yourself a child again, but I'm not there yet. Believe me, I get my Botox, instant Botox. I can't look 20, I don't need to be 20. I just want to look 20, right? But yeah, no, I think of those sort of things that we can do that we put the limits on ourselves, right?
Yes.
We're the ones that put the limits on ourselves, that something is not possible. I put the limit on myself that I can't be a child actor. Maybe I could be, maybe there's some magical thing that I could do. Not at that level yet, but we put the limitations so often. We create the cages that we're in. I can't have this, or I can't have that, or it's not possible for me. And what the message I've been getting so much lately is check your limitations, because so many of them, 99% of them, are ones that you're putting on yourself that say you can't, you don't believe that you can.
Well, and I think a lot of what I know I catch myself doing is I think of something that I want in my life, and then my logical mind says, well, I can't see how that would happen, so I'm not going to put my energy there. Well, we have to allow the universe to figure out how it's going to happen. They know all the people involved, they know all the connection. Spirit does, you don't.
Yeah.
So let spirit do their end, you do your end. And
It's exactly what happened with the B&B thing. It's exactly what happened there. I had no concept of how to run a B&B. I didn't really even have a desire to run a B&B because I never researched it beyond just putting out a picture and saying I wanted to teach in this magical place, right?
right. So your logical mind would say, I can't do that.
Right. But I didn't even go there. Like I did. That's the whole point. Yeah, exactly. Is that I just put it out there as a fantasy. And I was like, moved on to, luckily I moved on to something else. So I didn't put any doubt in it either. I got distracted by whatever was going on. So that's how you manifest, is to go, I'm going to get that thing. And now I'll focus on my kitty cat sleeping over there, or I'll focus on, painting a painting or writing a book or doing something else, and get my mind off of that thing and let it just marinate out there. And, in my case, it took 4 years. I
Timing
could have
is in
been
the
that
hands
4
of
years.
spirit.
What?
Timing is in the hands of spirit too.
Yeah. And it's like, I could have been sitting there for 4 years worrying about it, figuring it out, trying to, no, it is manifesting. Let it just manifest. Let it get out of your own way, get out of your limitations. That's the concept. You are infinitely more expansive than you know, right? One of my favorite sayings is, if the eyes were cleared, we could see things as they really are, but we look through that little crack in the cave. That's all we see. We have to open the doors of perception,
Yeah.
open the doors so that you see how limitless you are. You are a divine child. You are a divine child. All of us are divine children, and we have to see ourselves as that way, and we have to see our limitlessness and how
Yes.
amazing we can be.
Yes.
All right. On that note, I'm going to give you one more question. You're
Okay.
going to answer it, and I'm going to count hearts, and then I'm going to give you a number.
Okay.
So, okay. Good question. What's the purpose of the oracle cards? That's a big question. And what do they show in a reading? Why would you do a reading with the oracle deck? That's a great question to keep me
Yeah,
busy
that
while
is
I count hearts.
that's the best question, perhaps. I think the cards draw us to them. They have this magnetism, and it's like an exploration, like a curiosity, like Alice, right, in Wonderland, where she follows the white rabbit down the hole and she doesn't know what she's going to find. And I think that it's just this most wonderful journey of learning about yourself within these cards and all the ways that we interact with them. And of course, one very sort of simple thing to do is to say, well, what's going to happen to me? Like we want to know the future.
Yeah.
But really, the cards show us ways to sort of work with our relationship to them. It's almost like there's this master intelligence that has the ability to work through the cards. So you're developing this communication with this higher intelligence, this spirit intelligence. And sometimes spirit just goes, okay, I'm hanging up the phone. You're too out of hand today. And you can still be shuffling the cards, but you're disconnected, right? And so there's this interesting relationship that we develop with this higher intelligence through our deck. And it's a conversation that we're having. And it's a teaching in itself.
Oh, yeah. I always think of the deck as being like the key that opens up the opening to getting into the Akashic records, or getting into that knowledge where you can access that knowledge. And for me, it always helps to have that and to be able to get in there, and it works every time. So, all right. So you're going to pick a number, a magical numerological number, I bet, between 1 and 43.
13.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Elizabeth K, you're number 13. So Elizabeth, I'm going to pull you up, and you're going to tell us what topic, because you already prepared your topic. And you guys hang out for a second, because I'm going to give you a code for discount. And also Anna's going to give you a code for discount. So hold on a second while we do this reading. Let me get you up here, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, get your question ready. Okay. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
You're
That
so
is
welcome.
so awesome.
What do you want to ask about today?
Basically just curious about relationship. I have should I go into detail, or can I just keep it like broad like that, or
as little detail as you must, really, just as brief
Okay.
as possibly.
It's a past relationship, and
Mhm.
should I let it go or
Perfect.
pursue it? That's it.
Great.
Okay, and I'm gonna,
Okay. So we are cutting into time, and we're cutting into the calendar to pick a date in time so that you not only get a handle on your question, but also a date that is significant in relation to your question. So I see a very high idealism leading the way here, and a very playful energy as well. This whole thing is existing up on a cloud somewhere. And I see beautiful Fortuna. You know, it's so true. There's so much cloud energy here, and so much idealism, and so much heart as well. We have the Queen of Hearts in the heart position of the spread, like the beating heart is the queen, and her depth in her own realm of hearts is unbounded. So the feeling as well is very deep here. The problem I'm seeing with this relationship, and this would need to be resolved if your little beautiful cloud is going to come and land on the ground where you can manifest this dream. The communication. There's something history in this relationship about communication that basically needs to be transformed so that this relationship can take root in the physical world. There's so much beauty here, so much heart, so much playfulness, so much joy, happiness, and this vision for this beautiful relationship. And there's something in the throat of someone here, and past communication issues, something that uh, has to be addressed. How does that feel?
Absolutely right. That's what I'm struggling with right now, communication. You hit it right on the head.
Mhm.
I don't know how to break through that though. I've tried recently, and I'm not getting any feedback with that. So I'm still working on it.
I can give you a hint if you want
Okay.
it.
Absolutely. Yes, please.
It's in your heart.
Okay.
Your feeling of this whole situation is so right on.
Okay.
We're so
Wow.
connected to what's going on here, but on a wordless level, like the heart sometimes doesn't know how to put things into words. And so that's your challenge. And it doesn't
Okay.
have to be eloquent.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be well worded or well phrased, but it has to, as long as it comes out of your heart, I see the potential for healing this problem in the throat because they're compatible elements. The
Okay.
power of your heart is connected very deeply and compatibly with whatever's going on in the communication. So you have the power and the compatibility and the help of the energy, the energetic help.
Okay.
Channel your heart into your voice. It's not your mind that needs to speak here. It's your heart.
Wow. Okay. So I got to do some meditation for sure on that to separate the two, you know?
You want to see the cards, honey?
Absolutely. Please.
yeah, we'd all love to see those
Yeah.
cards.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is the card of right now. This is the present time. This is
Okay.
the idealistic Galahad, the Knight of the Grail, right? His
Okay.
vision is the highest,
Wow.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then the card of the present moment is Fortuna, the 10 of clubs, the airy, playful sprite who's just twirling and dancing, and then the bottom card is the clouds themselves. You see how many clubs you have? You're up in the sky. But then between, we have this beautiful, intense queen.
Wow.
You know, she's feeling her reality. Right?
I love it. Yes.
She's doing a little psychometry there. And then this card was in the throat position. This is the ruin, the cold, which is the card of the past. It's the past putting its influence into the communication of the present time.
Oh, that makes sense. Yes. The hurts.
Here.
has
In
to
the
'em.
hearts, the water heals the earth. This is the water and earth in the playing card oracle. So she has the ability to saturate and nurture and bring to life this landscape here and create a synergy.
You just gave me chills because I'm a water sign and he's an earth sign.
Oh.
My
Go.
gosh.
Like-
Well, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you both. You guys are amazing.
Good luck. Good luck with the relationship.
So much.
So you got a special that you're going to offer everybody, which is so awesome. So what was it that you were going to do? I know you told me, but I want you to tell them.
At my site at anacortez.com, you just go to the store and you'll see there the set, which is the card and the book that we've talked about. And you can buy both of these together for a discount of 33%. So that brings it down to less than $20 for both.
So good.
I mean, this is a 260-page book, guys. The last part is history. You don't have to read that part, so don't get intimidated.
It's not a homework assignment,
You're
although it
gonna
is.
fall in love with this book if you haven't gotten the book and you love card reading. I promise you, this will be something that you treasure and keep. And if you already have it and you know someone that needs it, go spend the money on them, take the 33% off and get it for them.
So what's the discount code?
It's Pamita 33 and it's all capitals, and Pamita capitals 33.
I'm going to put it in the chat. So you go to anacortez.com.
Go to this and then click the store tab. There you
Chris beat me to it. Thank you. Pamita 33. There you go. And people, boy, you guys are on top of it. Maki put the store link right to the store. You guys are on it. I love it. I love it. My special is going to be, I'm going to give you guys 25% off on sachet powders. You've got to text me though. And the number to text is 310-510 and 6184. I'm going to get it right this time. There we go. Go ahead and text me playing card and I will know that you are going to get the special flash sale that's only going to be for you guys here. I'll make up a code as soon as we get off here and I'll answer you and I'll give you the code. You'll have 48 hours to buy sachet powders and you'll get 25% off. Okay. Yes, I ship everywhere. Do you ship everywhere?
I do. And thank you for reminding me. It's only good for a week. It's good through next Sunday.
So you got longer with her. You got 2 days with me. You got a week with Anna. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Next week, my guest is going to be Carolina Dean, who is amazing. He's an amazing hoodooist and root worker. He's amazing. We're going to have him. Thank you, Anna, so much for being here.
Welcome.
You know,
Such a pleasure.
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We'll have to have you back on again. We'll have to have you back on again when you have your new stuff. We
Please.
can talk about your new stuff for sure.
Absolutely.
It's so great to see you. And I can't wait till you come back to Santa Monica and see me again.
Oh, I look forward to it.
Or I'll go to New Mexico and see you.
Oh,
Maybe
please.
that's the thing. I can't wait till we can travel again. All right, you guys have a great week. Have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday. Have a beautiful week. Don't forget tomorrow, if you are doing the new moon services or new moon kits or workshop or all that, it goes on sale tomorrow at noon Pacific time. All right. Take care. Have a beautiful week, everybody. Bye, Anna. Bye, everybody.
Love.